Okay, folks, welcome back to Forte and Goal, giving you the most up-to-date information for games. This is actually part two of week 11. First game we want to cover in the second half of these predictions is one of the earlier games. It's the San Francisco 49ers traveling to the Jacksonville Jaguars. The 49ers are 4-5. The Jacksonville Jaguars are 2-7. So everybody knows. I think it's been out there. Look, Jacksonville hasn't played very well. The Urban Meyer thing isn't working out so well so far. Trevor Lawrence, who people were like super high on, has struggled mightily so far. And meanwhile, San Francisco has done pretty well. I mean, they're doing well lately. People have before the season said, oh, there was a bunch of injuries. That's the reason why they struggled last year. But they should be real contenders this year. I didn't buy that either. Okay, call me a doubter, call me a hater, or whatever you want to say. I just didn't think that was the case. And by the way, one of the reasons why I was skeptical is that somehow people thought, oh, the injuries were the reason for the Niners not doing well. But meanwhile, the Cowboys had almost as many injuries, and we didn't hear a lot of talk about how the Cowboys would return and be mighty. Anyway, so in this game, we'll go quick. We've got a relatively hot type of 49er team going against a Jacksonville team that's starting to play a little better, more competitive. And the game is in Jacksonville. They're capable of beating the Niners. I know that they're capable of beating the Niners, but I like the coaching for the Niners. I like their run game. Garoppolo, even though I'm not a huge fan of him, has played fairly well this season overall. Certainly better than Trey Lance, the rookie that they went out of the way with a crazy haul of picks just to get that pick, and they chose Trey Lance. No one really knew who they were going to choose, but they chose Trey Lance. Athletically, he's great, but I mean, so far, he's got a lot of growing to do, right? So that's my take on him. This game, I think, is going to be on the lower scoring side, barring a complete obliteration of the offense for Jacksonville. I think this game is going to be on the lower end side from both teams. I think that the Niners win this game, I want to say 27 to 17. The defense for the Niners is fairly good. If Trevor Lawrence continues to develop, if they can continue to play reasonable football, this game shouldn't be a huge blowout. So I would say 27-17, the Niners will win this game. Next up, we've got the Houston Texans traveling to the Tennessee Titans. Houston is only 1-8, and Tennessee is 8-2. Really funny thing when it comes to these two teams, if you think about it. Well, the Texans got off to a nice start. Then Tyrod Taylor got hurt. Then they got Davis Mills. Davis Mills looks like a real legit potential starting quarterback. I think that he might, become just that, and that's good for Houston, because clearly they're looking to move on from Deshaun Watson for several different reasons. And then meanwhile, the Tennessee Titans, they did lose to Derrick Henry, King Henry, and they still have continued to move on and play good football. They beat the Rams. They're a good team. They're a well-coached team. I've always liked them. I specifically like their run defense in short yardage situations. But overall, that's a nice defense, and they're playing good football. The Texans are traveling to the Titans. I do not give the Texans much chance to win this game. It would take a miracle. I don't care whether it's Tyrod Taylor or Davis Mills. I just like the Titans too much to lose this game, barring a complete meltdown by the Titans. There's no way that the Texans could win this game. So I'm going to say the Titans win this game. They win it pretty handily. If you were playing for the Texans right now, you'd probably feel like, oh, can we just get on to another season because we don't have a chance. So that's not really good for effort, right? People playing for their jobs, maybe. I'm going to go with the Titans. Titans are going to win this game. I'll say 31 to the Texans 21. 31-21. Titans win this game. So next up, we've got the 8-2 Green Bay Packers traveling to the 4-5 Minnesota Vikings. So here's an interesting divisional matchup. Okay, divisional matchups are always good, just like that Titan-Texans matchup. But Minnesota's got an offense that is and can be dangerous, sometimes more than others. You got Dalvin Cook, you've got Justin Jefferson and Thielen, you've got good tight ends, you've got the offensive line is a little bit weak, but those runners, the running backs that they've got, even outside of Dalvin Cook, pardon me, they're pretty solid. I mean, they've got a good run option. Then you look at Kirk Cousins, the starting quarterback. Yeah, he might make mistakes. I'm not saying he's a world beater, but he is solid. He's accurate. He's experienced. He's got good athleticism as far as his passing skills are concerned. He's not completely immobile either. That's another thing. Meanwhile, the Green Bay team has had a really strong, I'd say, last 4 games from their defense. Their defense seems almost like they just took another level in terms of the jump. Their offense has gone in the other direction. All right, they started off hot, then they turned around and cooled down, and then the defense started off kind of cool. Now they've stepped it up. So, what to expect of these guys against a divisional opponent in Minnesota. Okay, so I do think Minnesota is capable of the upset win here. I'd love to see them do it. I think they're capable. I don't like the fact that Aaron Rodgers missed that game. I feel like he's a little bit out of things. This is his first game back since that COVID test, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, no, my mistake. He did play last week, right? Anyway, so whether he did or didn't, it doesn't matter. Point is he doesn't look altogether right, okay? I don't really love the defense for the Vikings, but they do have a good front four. They do have great linebackers, and on the back end, they have a couple of guys back there that can make plays. So I don't think you can completely dismiss this defense by any stretch. Not to mention the coach, Zimmer, is really trying to get this team from 4-5 to 5-5 and into the playoff mix. Not to mention he wants to save his job. If he can do a turnaround with this team and get them to, say, 10, 11 wins into the playoffs, I mean, it would save his job, and the Minnesota people would be very happy. I'm going to call the upset in this one. I'm going to say that Minnesota pulls off the upset, that the game is relatively low scoring. I'm going to go with 24 for Minnesota, 24-22, and Minnesota wins this game. So next up, we've got the 6-3 Baltimore Ravens traveling to the 3-6 Chicago Bears. So they're playing in Chicago, 3-6 Chicago Bears. You love the way I fight with my glasses. I don't know, does anybody else do this? It's annoying. Yeah, these are just reading glasses, and once I'm done reading, I'm done with the glasses. Anyway, so the Ravens are, I think, just an interesting team. I mean, it seems like a lot of people love them for a number of reasons. I mean, maybe they're just. I think sometimes fans just love the excitement that players can bring. So watching a guy like Lamar Jackson run the ball can be a lot of fun because he jukes. He's got great moves. A little bit like a Barry Sanders with how he can break ankles, right? I mean, he's got serious speed, and to think he didn't even run at the combine. I mean, isn't that crazy? He probably runs like in the, I don't know, high 4.2s, 4.3, low 4.3s maybe. He's fast. The guy is fast. To watch him run is exciting. I get that. All right. To watch him pass, well, that's not so good because he frequently misses players. He doesn't read the defenses particularly well. He does tend to lock into who he's going to throw it to. Sometimes he's just straight up not accurate. I mean, I don't consider him the greatest passer, and I think most people agree with that. Now, that the defense isn't quite the Ravens defense that people are used to seeing, so they're lacking in that department. The offensive line that people figured was going to be one of the top offensive lines in the league, they haven't quite lived up to that billing. They've had numerous injuries to their running game, but like I said, with Lamar Jackson, you've pretty much got a second running back in the backfield at all times, which always makes their running game more effective, because you've got two running backs, you've got three receivers, and usually a tight end. That's the usual personnel in the game. Now they're going against Chicago, who haven't been getting great quarterback play. Justin Fields is, struggling as a rookie. He's improving, but he's still struggling as a rookie. Their running game can sometimes be, hot, sometimes not so much. Their offensive line is not great. They are still hanging their hat on their defense, and their defense is still able to can still function really effectively, sometimes more than others. So I think what we've got here, though, is we've got a team that wants to run in Baltimore. So they want to run the ball. They do want Lamar Jackson to be able to sit in the pocket and pass. It was promised coming into the season that, Lamar is going to pass more. Maybe because they figure, we can't let teams catch up to what our offense is about. But it hasn't worked out so great. In last week's game, Miami played the Ravens, and I saw the game, and I saw over and over the same blitz. In fact, I saw the stat, I forgot how many times, but they lined up with the same blitz and brought it so many times during the game. It was a safety coming off the edge, and time again, he was coming free, and Lamar and the lanes for him to get away were just not there. And Lamar didn't even look like Lamar. If you look at his game, I don't think he had one great run for Lamar, not in the whole game, let alone escaping this blitz. So I think you're going to see something like that from the Bears, and I think that the Bears are going to end up executing it just as effectively as the Dolphins, because both of them have good defenses. Okay, so I think this is going to be a tough game for the Ravens, even though I know most people will think, the Ravens are going to kill the Bears in this game. Don't count on it. Do not count on it. I think the Ravens are a team that are due to struggle for the latter part of this season. I don't see them running away in this game. If I thought that the Bears had any kind of offense, this would be easy for me to pick. But that being said, I think I am going to call the upset in this one. I think the Bears are going to win this game. I think they'll come up with just enough offensively to put enough points up to beat the Ravens, and I think their defense is going to get the job done, especially if they execute the same defense that the Dolphins did. I don't know. During the week, if the coaching staff from the Ravens picked up and looked at it and said, okay, we've got to correct this, then yeah, they'll be fine. But the question is, can they really? I don't think they can. I don't think it's that simple to do. So I'm going to go with the Bears in a low-scoring game. I think that the Bears win this game 20-17. 20-17. I'm going to pick the Bears and the upset against the Ravens. Okay, next up we've got the 5-4 Bengals traveling to the 5-4 Las Vegas Raiders. Bengals, they've struggled, and Las Vegas has struggled. So, you've got two teams, I think, that are kind of on the same wavelength, but something's got to give, right? And the Raiders are home. So that's an advantage. Let's look at some insight just to kind of get an idea for how these guys are playing. So Joe Mixon in his career has done really well against the Raiders. That's something to keep an eye on. Here's a quarterback comparison. Joe Burrow this season is 5-4, 68.2 completion percentage. He has 277.4 passing yards per game on average, 8.7 yards per attempt. He's got 20 TDs and 11 interceptions. Meanwhile, Derek Carr has the same record, 67.7 completion percentage. He's doing 314 yards per game, 8.1 yards per game per attempt on average, 15 TDs to 8 interceptions. So these quarterbacks are pretty, are very comparable numbers. I think the only difference really is the one that jumps out is the yards passing per game favors Derek Carr. Bengals are trending in the wrong direction. The Bengals have allowed a season high in points in each of the last 2 games, 34 and 41. Cincinnati's allowed 18.3 points per game from weeks 1 to 7 because their defense was looking real legit. Now, I'm not exactly sure why. I have to see how many injuries they've had, but they're trending in the wrong direction on the defensive side. The home team has won 7 of the last 8 between the Bengals and the Raiders since '98. Since 1998. The Bengals have lost their first game after a bye in each of the last 5 seasons. History says that the Raiders have started with a winning record through 9 games for the 3rd straight season, and they finished with fewer than 10 wins in each of the previous 2. So that is interesting. So, according to Next Gen Stats, the Raiders lead the NFL with 36.9% quarterback pressure rate this season, and Joe Burrow has the 3rd highest completion percentage when under pressure at 60.7. Jamar Chase, the terrific rookie for the Bengals, has averaged 40.5 receiving yards per game in his last 2 games. So he hasn't really done much in the last couple of games. He was averaging 107.7 from weeks 1 through 7 of the season. So, tale of 2 halves for him. Let's look at the official stats. Bengals are 19th in offense. Raiders are 14th. Bengals are 14th in defense. Raiders are 12th. Bengals are 10th in passing. Raiders are 4th. Bengals are 24th in rushing. The Raiders are 29th. So, those numbers are pretty comparable. I mean, minus the passing. I mean, clearly the Raiders have done very well passing the ball this season. I think that's going to continue. I don't like the trend of the defense for the Bengals. I like the fact that the Raiders are home. I still think that they're a little bit of a mess off the field, and who knows, that might continue for the rest of the season. They're dealing with an interim coach, so who knows if that's going to be a big factor or not. But I don't think that it helps that the man is not the man. He's an interim coach. I think the Bengals want to get on track. They are coming off a bye, and maybe they'll play a little better. Okay? But I like some of the things that the Raiders are doing. I mean, they're able to pass the ball. They're able to rush the passer. Their defense is playing better overall. And they just came off a pretty humiliating defeat themselves to the Chiefs. So I would say that the Raiders come back in this game and they correct the things that caused them to lose last week. And I think they're going to play a much better game. I see the Raiders winning this game. I think the game will be a little bit on the sort of medium to high scale. So I'm going to say that the Raiders win this game. I would say 32-27. 32-27, Raiders win the game. So we've got another nice interdivisional game. We have the Arizona Cardinals at 8-2 traveling to the 3-6 Seattle Seahawks. At first blush, this game would come across as a complete mismatch for the Cardinals winning the game. We've got Russell Wilson apparently facing off against Kyler Murray. I think he's going to play. It's never happened before. Russell Wilson's lost 2 straight starts. Wilson's 150 career starts without losing 3 straight in a season are the most by any player to start a career since at least 1950. Head-to-head career. This is a 60 head-to-head career. Kyler Murray against Russell Wilson. Kyler has a 68.6 completion percentage, 247 yards per game, 6 TDs, 2 interceptions, 97 passer rating. Meanwhile, The exact same completion percentage for Russell Wilson, 68.6, 248.5 passing yards per game, 7 TDs, 3 interceptions, 97.4 passer rating. So very, very close, almost identical stats by the two quarterbacks. The DK Metcalf has averaged 18.8 receiving yards per game in his career versus the Cardinals. That's not a lot. The fewest versus any single opponent in his career. Cardinals are 5-0 on the road this season, and they've won by 12 plus points in those games. The Seahawks have fewer than 250 yards total yards in 4 games this season, so their offense is not exactly clicking. Seattle had 2 such games in the previous 3 seasons combined, but keep in mind they had Russell Wilson playing in those games, not Geno Smith. Tyler Lockett has 2 receptions and fewer than 40 yards in 3 of his last 4 games. Okay, so teams are kind of locking him up. The Seahawks are redefined. The Seahawks have allowed 15 points per game in the last 4 games. They have not allowed 30 points since week 3. So that is pretty impressive. The defense is starting to step up from the Seattle Seahawks. Let's look at the stats. They heavily favor the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are 5th in offense, 10th in defense, 8th in passing, 7th in rushing. Seahawks, 30th overall offense, 26th defense, 30th passing, 23rd rushing. So you can see the difference, the disparity. Now here's the difference in the game in terms of the teams and the way I see it. They do have the home field advantage. They're 3-6 in the NFC West. Tough division. If they don't win this game, they have no shot at a playoff game, in my opinion. And they definitely won't win the division. What this team is playing for, Seattle, is a playoff spot. They need to get into the playoffs. That's their goal. It always is. And they have a lot of pride they take in making that. Russell Wilson takes a lot of pride in the success he's had. The defense is playing good football. They got embarrassed last week. They really did. They didn't do anything on offense. Russell looked terrible. I don't think he's going to look terrible this week. They are playing against a pretty good defense. This team likes to bring pressure. They have guys that can get after you. Chandler Jones being one of them. So it's not going to be easy for Russell. It's not going to be easy for this Seattle team. But they do have the players that can get it done. Their offensive line is still not great. The receivers are good, really, really good. Russell's really good. Their running backs are solid. Like I said, their defense is playing good football overall. Meanwhile, this is Kyler's first game back if he plays. That would worry me if I was a Cardinal fan. I also think that Seattle is going to be uber fired up. I mean, I would not be surprised at all to see the Cardinals win the game, but I'm going to go ahead. I hope they do win, but I'm going to pick this upset. I think Seattle squeaks a win here. I think they do. I think they find a way to beat this team. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Seahawks in this one. I feel pretty good about it. I'll take the Seahawks winning this game and in making it kind of ugly and not being very high scoring. I'm going to say the Seahawks win this game 21 to the Cardinals getting, let's say, 17. 21-17, the Cardinals lose to the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, next up, the marquee matchup, I believe, of the day, of the weekend. We've got the 7-2 Dallas Cowboys traveling to the 6-4 Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I think at this point in time, people would have thought. Let me rewind that. Early in the season, the beginning of the season, I think people thought that Cowboys traveling to KC, that was going to be an L automatically, right? Meanwhile, the Cowboys have 2 more wins than the Kansas City team, although Kansas City has played 1 more game. I said two. It's 1.5 because they've got one game more in the win column, but they've got two more in the loss column. So the Cowboys are leading by 1.5. Now, let's do a quarterback comparison and talk a little bit about the teams, look at the stats, really analyze, deep dive this game. Dak Prescott's playing like an MVP, not Patrick Mahomes. He's got a 6-2 record. He's 70.3 completion percentage, which I believe leads the NFL, completing 292.6 passing yards per game, 20 TDs, five interceptions, 110.8 passer rating. Mahomes, 65.8 completion percentage, 294 yards per game, 25 TDs, 10 interceptions. He's got a 96.7 passer rating. So Dak is playing slightly better. There are some big numbers coming from Mahomes. Interconference dominators, the Chiefs have won 10 straight games versus NFC teams. The last loss was in 2019 against Green Bay. Dandy Dak. So Dak is the 5th player since 1950 with 6 wins, 20-plus TDs passing, and a 70-plus completion percentage in the first 10 weeks of a season. Andy Reid is 18-12 in his career versus the Cowboys, his second most wins versus one team. Keep in mind, a lot of those wins came when he was with Philadelphia, because the Chiefs and the Cowboys, believe it or not, have not played each other all that often. The Chiefs' first 5 games, they were 2-3, 32.6 points per game allowed, 437.4 total yards per game allowed, a -7 in the turnover differential. The last 5 games, they're 4-1, 15.6 points per game allowed, 309 total yards per game allowed, and they're -1 in the turnover differential. Meanwhile, the Cowboys are redefined. The Cowboys have allowed 180 yards passing per game since week 6. That's the second fewest in the NFL. Dallas has not allowed a 300-yard passer since Sam Darnold in week 4. The analytics expert, Cynthia Freulein, has the Chiefs winning in 54.6% of her simulations with a projected final score of 29-26 inside the matchup. So Dak Prescott leads the NFL with 16 passing TDs versus the blitz this season. KC has blitzed on 33.5% of dropbacks. That's the 6th most in the NFL because they're not getting pressure from their front line, right? Patrick Mahomes has been blitzed on 11.9% of dropbacks this season, more than 5% fewer than any other quarterback in the season in the next-gen stats era, which is since 2016. Long time ago, the Dallas Cowboys ranked first in scoring and total offense for a full season was in 1971. They finished 11-3 and won the Super Bowl that season. That's important to note because the Cowboys are leading our number 1 in offense this season. The stats, right? These are 2 good teams. Make no mistake. Even though the Chiefs have struggled this season and they've got 4 losses, it doesn't mean that an Andy Reid team is a bad team, right? So let's look at the stats. The Cowboys have the 2nd-ranked offense. I thought they were first. Come on now. Where did all of a sudden that happen? 2nd-ranked offense, the 9th-ranked defense. A 9th-ranked defense. How about that, guys? 5th in passing, 8th in rushing. Meanwhile, the Chiefs have the number 1 offense. This just doesn't even seem accurate because I just saw that the Cowboys have the 1st-ranked offense. I don't know where or when they sneaked in with the 1st-ranked offense. Actually, the Chiefs, I think, were ranked like number 4. And they have the 30th ranked defense, the Chiefs do. They're number 1 in passing, and they're 12th in rushing. The rushing number completely surprises me. I don't know where this comes from. So, my take on this game is that, look, take away history from your mindset, okay? I know the Chiefs have had a lot of success since Reid's been there. I know that Patrick Mahomes has had an incredible 3 years as a starter. I know that it might be difficult to wrap your head around Patrick Mahomes struggling like he has. I mean, 10 interceptions seems at one point he was leading, I think tied for last in the league with the most interceptions. I know it's tough to wrap your head around a team that has Kansas City's legacy over the last few years, and not to mention Andy Reid, who I have a lot of respect for, struggling. But the fact is they've struggled. And then it's tough to even get your head around a team like the Cowboys, who've been up and down, who have not had a lot of postseason success, who struggled so mightily on defense last year. And they're not at home. This game is in KC. And, and I know that people are wondering, hey, how can they beat KC? But if you look at KC, they haven't done much this season. Cowboys have. If you look at their stats, if you look at how they've performed as a team, the Cowboys, except for one game, which was against the Broncos, the Cowboys have been consistent. They've been playing great football on both offense and defense. They've been balanced on offense. They've overcome injuries and COVID and you name it, right? And then they've been like a different team altogether. The coaching has really improved, on the defensive side, every which way. McCarthy's starting to look like a real legit head coach. This team is getting it done. Meanwhile, on the other side of it, like I said, KC struggled. They have not gotten it done. There have been lots of mistakes. Teams have figured them out many times. And just because they had one good game against the Raiders, the announcement, oh, they're back, and there's a big resurgence of confidence. But the reality is this is still a team that struggled, been inconsistent all season. Yes, I know they're home. That's going to be a great advantage to them. But I think that the Cowboys, even with the injuries, will go in and beat them through good coaching, preparation, tremendous athletes, all over the place, playmakers all over the place, a very balanced offense. A weakness for KC is their run defense. The Cowboys can run the ball very well. The minute they come in and try to shut the run down, well, then the Cowboys will be able to pass. Even with Cooper out with COVID, they've got Gallup, they've got CD, they've got Cedric Wilson. They've got guys that can step up. Even with Randy Gregory gone, they have a way to put pressure on the quarterback. Dorrance Armstrong came in and played real good football, the first week he was called upon. And I think we're going to get those type of performances. People have been stepping up all season. So I do expect the Cowboys to win. I expect them to win by a pretty healthy margin. Think that the game will be a little bit on the high-scoring side just because, the defense for the Chiefs is not that great. So this is what I expect. A nice offensive explosion from the Cowboys. Solid defense, which will hold down the Chiefs. Cowboys should win this game 34-20, 34-21. 34-21, maybe 24. But I'd say 34-21, Cowboys win this game. Next up, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers at 5-3-1 going against the Los Angeles Chargers at 5-4. This game is so funny to me because I think of Pittsburgh and I think of that tie to the Lions, which was, wow, what a crazy, crazy fun game that was. I'm going to be real quick on this game, not because of anything to do with the teams. I like the Chargers. I'm not crazy about the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, the first game of the season they had the Bills on the ropes and they turned around and lost that game. So that was really ridiculous. Then the Chargers they started out hot, but they're now really floundering, and I don't even get what's going on. I mean, if you look at these, wins, and if you look at the stats and whatnot, you'd be shocked at just how, what a disparity it is between how this team got out of the gate and how they've been playing the last few games. Let's look at the stats, though, just real quick. Steelers are 27th in offense, 7th in defense, so their defense is still playing well. They're 22nd in passing, 26th in rushing. Chargers, 17th now. They were at one point much higher, and they're 13th in defense. Their defense has been pretty good, but not so great against the run. They're ninth in passing, 22nd in rushing. Like I said, I really like this Charger team. I think that they're capable of great things. They are at home. I'm picking them to win without a doubt. This is call it a lock, if you will. But this Charger team should win the game. If they don't, I'm selling my Chargers stock. They're done. They're done for the season, and they need the game big time. If you can't beat a team that just tied at home to the Detroit Lions, I'm sorry, you're not a playoff team. Just you're not, and you can stop. You can just stop pretending. So I'm going to go with the Chargers winning this game. I think they're going to get things on track. They're a tough defense, so they might not be that high scoring. I'll say 24-14. No, 24-10. 24-10, the Chargers win this game. I think they're going to do a good job against the Steelers offense. 24-10, Chargers win the game. Next, we come to our Monday night matchup, last game of the weekend, and we've got the 3-6 New York Giants traveling to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are 6-3. Excuse me. Now, I don't want to get into all the stats. I think most people know, these teams have not played great football last week or two. The Bucs have 2 losses. The Giants, I think, I have to double check what they did, but they just came off a bye, so they should be rested. But the Giants, they're such a crazy team. I mean, they're like they're kind of schizophrenia. They came into the season with great weapons on the outside. They picked up Gladney, picked up the guy out of Detroit, not Gladney, but anyway, they picked up the big receiver. I have to get that straight. My bad. They also drafted Kadarius Toney from out of Florida. He's a real dynamic runner, by the way. And I love what I see from Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard has looked fantastic, but he's been injured. And Toney is out for a game. The receiver that I just mentioned from the Lions is also been injured. They haven't had their complement. They've had Saquon Barkley missing. He's back for this game. And the interesting thing is that Tampa Bay, they want to get on track for sure. They've lost 2 straight games. They want to get on track. They are at home. That's going to give them a lot of juice. But I think that teams, if they look at the film, can figure out some tendencies and some things that they can do against this Tampa Bay team. Meanwhile, they're missing Vita Vea, who is a big part of their run defense. And the Giants are going to try to run the ball. They're going to try to get Saquon going, hope for some big plays. I mean, he's definitely a breakaway threat. You give him a hole, the guy can take it to the house. So they're going to be looking for some of those kind of plays. And if the Bucs aren't careful, he just might have one of those big plays for the game. I do see the Giants putting up a battle. I think that they're capable of winning the game. I wouldn't be surprised if they win. But honestly, it's hard to think that Daniel Jones is going to face the blitz, because the minute that the situation is a scoring one or they need a big-time stop, then the blitz comes. And I just don't see Daniel Jones handling that very well. If he does, with Ingram and all the guys they've got, it could be horrible for this Buccaneers team. Okay, maybe the run game isn't going to be as good. The run defense isn't going to be as good. So, the Giants have that kind of explosiveness on offense, and then meanwhile on the defensive side, their pass defense is strong, and their run defense is usually solid. So, it's not going to be the easiest day at the office for Tampa Bay. I'm almost, I'm tempted to go with the upset. I would love to see the Giants win this game, and I don't think that they're going to do it, but I'd love to see it, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I'll tell you what, I will pick the upset. I'll go with the Giants winning this game. I think it'll be a tight one. I don't think it's going to be a particularly high-scoring game. I think the Giants can win this game if they do what I told you. Some of the things I just gave you as far as observations. I could see the Giants winning this game 24-22. 24 Actually, 24-21. 24-21, the Giants pulled this out. That's all I've got. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hopefully, I'll have some more exciting material for you guys soon. I'm always trying to improve. Thanks again for tuning in, and let's see how it goes. Enjoy your games.